Hi guys, welcome to the channel. It's Mo Silas here again. I'm currently holding a role of product designer at Mebran Inc. And in today's video, we're going to talk about a topical issue we as creative always have in an organization, which is either to sell an idea to your client or employee, or actually pitching an idea that really works for a certain project or anything we're working on. Most of the times what happens in cases like this is the client or your employee are already sold out to the ideas they bring to the table. So to shift them from the idea they have already to what you feel works for the project can be a lot more challenging than you think. Creatives every day have been finding ways to solve this problem, and in this video I'm going to share tips on how to tackle opportunities like that to solve a problem. Earlier, what you're trying to pitch to the client is a great idea, right? And you're not trying to pitch to the client an idea that doesn't really work for the project. You feel the idea works for the project, right? So the first thing you're supposed to look at is, are you able to interpret the client's brief? That kind of pushes back to giving into what the client wants. And the ultimate goal is to put together creatives that achieves the business goal and works well with the client's brief. The point you're supposed to look at is, are you able to interpret the client's brief down to the detail and convincing enough that you followed the due process to getting these things done? You've looked at that. Be sure as a creative that you've looked beyond the pixel. The creative most of the time are always caught at the point of designing for the pixel based on the ideas they have around their laptops and the ideas they have around similar design out there. But there's always a contention where creative feel like they are not included in the business planning and putting together the structure of the business and every other thing, where they are brought into the board and all of that. And one of the reasons for that is because creatives don't look into the organizational goal and what they're trying to achieve as a business, and not necessarily organizational goal. They're not really profit oriented. How their creatives is going to convert into money. So where we are most of the time is just fixing up aesthetics and making things look nice and look well. Meanwhile, we're supposed to be in the thought process of the ideas, be in the thought process down to the creation process. That will really help your creative process to fly easily because you understand the thought process of this. So look into benefit, look into customer experience, look into the big picture, then you go into your creatives to make a great art. Another point I like to make is confidence. Most of the time when people listen to you talk, they want to pick that slightest lack of confidence to jump on and make it look like you're not making sense or your ideas are not really valued, right? So not necessarily, they are not doing it intentionally. They are just most likely when you're presenting an idea that doesn't really work well for them, they're looking for a sense of lack of confidence for them to latch on and prove a point that your ideas are not really good for the project or are not really valued downline. So confidence is king, and it's going to help you kill the presentation at any point in time you're presenting. Another thing you should look at is talk points. What are the touch points which your creative or your ideas are going to generate for the business? What is the end goal? Example is when you have a meeting with your client or the rest of that. When you have a meeting with your client and all, you make points like, I believe this idea, although this other one would work, but this one would work better to increase the revenue from this point to this point, or of this, and the output of this design is going to result to our target goal. If your talking points, your conversation hold weight than just having a surface level conversation where you're not really hitting on points that matters to the brief. Pointer to help you win a pitch or win presentation is remind them why they employed you. This point, you're not going all out to like tell them, oh, you're creative, you're this, and be braggadocious. You're not giving them this professional feel of how you approach your work and what the work means to you. That is, you're empathizing with the client and the project, and you feel like you're really passionate about it, and that's what you're really passionate about. It the same way you're passionate about every other brief and every other project you handled, and every other brief you had opportunity to handle in the past. So you convince them, you give them benefit of doubt that you're really into it and you're willing to bring results to the table. So every presentation, every opportunity you have to talk to a client, it's an opportunity to be more assertive of what you're trying to do, the result you're trying to create, and how passionate you are about the project. This is one trick that works very well for me, like it has worked several times for me, which is make it feel like it is their idea. Like this point resonates with like most of the way I do my presentation, right? Because your boss, in a certain way, he feels like he has worked with a lot of my boss, right? He feels like if he has worked with a lot of engineering team and the rest of them. Their ego might be up there. Your responsibility and what you're trying to do is not trying to bring their ego up from up down. What you're trying to do is you're trying to convince them to buy into your idea, not bring down their ego. So they are like, so every techniques you can use to bring them to your own side works really. So making it look like it is their idea gives them this gratification. Approaching it that way doesn't make it look like you're defensive of your idea. It gives the client a leverage and boosts his ego as to why you created it a certain way. So it's a workable method that you can apply in your presentation. So as a designer, we get caught up in the point where we are trying to push the style over the business, but what you're supposed to focus on in the conversation is the business over the style. You don't want to come at your client or your employee as you're more interested in your style, the style of design, the style and pattern of design over the result, the end result which your creative or which your design is supposed to bring to the table. But what you're supposed to focus on is the business part of your creative, the business part of your design, how the design is going to help give the customer experience interfacing with the platform, if it is a platform or a banner or whatever the brief was, how this is going to center around the result that is going to bring back to the business. So this point is very important. Look beyond the pixel, make the client feel like the idea belongs to him. And pointers I've made, you might not necessarily have to use all of them in one project, but then you have it as a framer for everything you put out there, every presentation you have opportunity to do, and at the end of the day, it's going to be a win for you and a win for the business too. So I've come to the end of this video. If it brought value to you in any way, don't forget to like, share, and drop a comment. If you have any. Ask a question and I'm going to pick it up and talk about it in my next video. Till I meet you next time, guys. Stay awesome.